I think we build this as a fireside chat, but I think it's waterside. I think maybe we've pioneered something here already. I think we've had some great talks today, and I think a lot of it has been around the future of the product suite. We've talked about composable DXP, etc. But as Sitecore's Chief Operating Officer, I think it would be a really good opportunity for us to get a bit of an insight as to how things are going with Sitecore, with the product in the future, in terms of what your mission and strategy is, and maybe some of the insight that you have uniquely as a Chief Operating Officer, stitching all these businesses together. So, but maybe to start off with, I was thinking earlier, this is my eighth symposium that I've just gone. As Amy said earlier, time flies. You're first after joining from SAP. What were your impressions of how it went, especially with it being virtual and not in person?
Well, firstly, it's been a phenomenal week, and what a way to finish, to actually have the opportunity to come here and listen to your team play back what we think we tried to communicate during this week. And so I have to really compliment you guys for managing to distill such a huge amount of information into what was actually a relief. From our side, I think you nailed it really got a great story there. So thank you for that and for putting it together, and indeed for putting together this event this afternoon. I mean, to be fair, it was a busy week for a lot of people in Sitecore. You put those things together, it takes a lot of effort. I think the benefit of it being virtual was the fact that the audience was the biggest audience we've ever had. We haven't had in excess of 10,000 people attend our symposium before. And that's one of the benefits that comes out from having to try to innovate through what we've all got used to in this pandemic. So that was really encouraging. And I think for me, there was a lot of energy from the Sitecore team coming into Symposium because we've just come off the back of our first quarter of the year, our first fiscal quarter. And it was a reassuringly strong performance from the team, which, of course, it's a combination of developing the right products, getting the right message to the market, working with our partners, ensuring that we enable our sales organization on the new portfolio that we have to bring to the market. So we had a great Q1. We were 43% year-on-year growth. We had an increased Net Promoter Score, so we've seen our customer sat go up by 22 points. Our retention numbers, so those customers renewing their contracts with us was 95%, so really punching at the top end of the market. So we've come into this quarter really into the symposium really quite pumped up that we feel that we're on the right trajectory. And so I'm really pleased to hear that as you guys digest the messaging and all the new innovation that we're bringing, that we're still very much aligned.
Brilliant. I couldn't agree more. The energy has been huge, and we felt that right through from the technical community, the fellow partners. It's an ecosystem, and our clients eager to know more. One of the things that has occurred to me is I think it was the diagram Kate showed earlier. Even in such a short period of time, how much the product set has grown. Obviously, there's a lot of technical messaging, and don't worry, I'm not going to get into I'm not sure what Charlie called it earlier, the magic code, the black box code. But what do you hope at a strategic level? What do you think that Sitecore wants its clients and its customers to take away and be most excited about in terms of the direction of travel in the company?
Well, I think first and foremost, everything that we have done has been a very deliberate step, and we'd like to think that the strategy is bringing incremental value to our customers. So in addition to that whole portfolio, that you see the strategy that we have is allowing our customers to either continue to evolve from where they are today, and I think Charlie mentioned it earlier. We are launching 10.2 in a few weeks in November, but that was almost like a side note compared to this plethora of things that we announced this week, because there's an awful lot going on. But I think there are two other things that are extremely important for our customers and indeed our partners, because it changes the way that they think, which is speed and choice. So everything that you saw there in terms of the composable DXP is all about ensuring that you have choice as to how you start your journey. Someone asked the question earlier, where do we start? The answer is, to a certain extent, well, where is your business priority? Where is your business priority? That's where you start. And you can choose to evolve that journey at your pace, but enjoying what I just term as like small steps quickly. So I think, at Sitecore, we have that view that we can take it from, from a content to commerce across all of those elements of the composable DXP, either, as you mentioned earlier, there's not many greenfield customers there anymore, but there is the ability to complement what companies already have, be they Sitecore customers or otherwise. So we can actually go on that journey to match the pace and the priorities of the customers. And I think that's sort of one of the things that really is differentiating Sitecore today. Deal with the now, but knowing that there's a journey that we can go on as a sustainable partnership.
Sure. And just to pick up on two of the words you talked about there, and it's interesting, you talked about the incremental nature, and obviously the product is growing quickly in an incremental nature, and choice, which I think is a great position to be in as a client. Is it fair, without being too controversial here, we talked about single stack, DXP and the history and the way it's moving to composable. Is Sitecore therefore signaling that this best of breed set of components, you're happy to be part of a solution that is a multi-vendor environment? Is that something that Sitecore is comfortable with and wants to be part of going forward?
I think you have to be led by your customers, right? Your customers will all have slightly different priorities. They'll have slightly different environments that they're running their business with at any one moment in time. And one of the benefits that we have is that we can help to service them aligned to where they need the help now. Yeah. So it is a journey, and make no doubt about it. Those companies that we were fortunate enough to acquire, they were very credible standalone companies in their own right before, and their solutions were integrating into a whole plethora of different landscapes, some with Sitecore, some with non-Sitecore solutions. So we absolutely will plan to leverage that going forward. There is no prerequisite that says you have to go Sitecore A to Z to work with Sitecore and our partners. Absolutely not. We will allow customers, and we'll work with customers to do what they call land and expand. Deal with the priorities as you see fit, and then move incrementally on that journey. Of course, as we invest to enrich the connectors between all of those elements, of course, we will then be able to provide even faster time to benefit for the customers. So I think the message from Sitecore is, we can stand shoulder to shoulder with other adjacent technologies, but we can also take the relationship on the long term. And if I think about some of the discussions I have with partners, some partners have a real detailed, in-depth knowledge for a particular industry. And from that, it means that they can consider a use case and actually go forward with a very explicit offering where they say, this is the reference architecture that we would recommend to solve that business problem. And it would be beyond what Sitecore offers. It's Sitecore and a lot more. And historically, before we acquired all of those solutions, you might have seen one or two reference architectures with Box7 or with 451 on it. Of course, today you would see within that reference architecture a Sitecore logo more often. It still doesn't mean that the customer has to commit to all of that on day one. But what we would like to expect is that we can start aligned with the customer's priorities and then iterate on that journey as and when it's deemed appropriate.
Sure. I think it comes back to that point of choice, and that's such a powerful position for Sitecore to be in with what's going on with the platform at the moment. Just to pivot a little bit, a topic close to my heart, actually we talked about the history of UNRVLD and our growth story, and we're on the acquisition trail ourselves. Mm-hmm. In your role, Chief Operating Officer, amongst your many remits, M&A, integration, I'm sure you're a busy chap. So one of the things that is very strong with Sitecore is the community. It has a very strong brand within, the world it operates within, and with Moose End, Box 451, Box7, all these components coming together. What do you see as your challenge, and how are you going to make sure that the integration of those companies is successful and it keeps the culture of Sitecore alive and effectively what it's become very famous for in terms of its customer focus and all the things you talked about earlier, like NPS scores, etc.?
Yeah, I think it takes me back to the sort of first thing that Steve mentioned, our CEO, as he opened the keynote, was he made some bold commitments last year, which was around innovation, customer centricity, and the ecosystem, right? And I think it's fair to say that we've demonstrated, or he's demonstrated, that the company has stood up to those bold ambitions with the acquisitions, very much all of those things that we've acquired have been to drive choice and time to benefit, fast time to benefit. So it's a very customer-centric view of the world. We've expanded the way that we're looking at that from a customer support perspective to ensure that customers are not only acquiring technology as a service, but then actually using all of the rich functionality that's in there. But when we acquired the companies over the last 6 or so months, of course, each of those companies had its own culture. And that's super important because we went to market to find companies not to acquire market share, but to acquire disruptive technology that complemented our overall technology strategy. So a few things to note. Of course, Sitecore's got 20 years-ish of being Gartner top quadrant. I think as a company, there's huge heritage of innovation there. And if that's the kind of culture you're referring to, we're very proud of that, and we definitely don't want to lose it. And we have Danish roots. We have sort of a big market share in the US. But as we've acquired those companies, yes, we got the disruptive technology, but we have the benefit of the people that came up with that disruptive technology, the guys that conceived it. So the Dave O'Flanagans of the world, the Mark Johnsons of the world and their teams, the Yannis's of the world, and most recently with the acquisition of Reflection, of course, we have Amar and his team. And these guys they're passionate about what they do. They're passionate about that technology. Those in Reflection, those guys were born out of Google they were early in there many years ago. So they know the topic of search. They really know that topic very well. They're super passionate about it. So I think the culture that we have now, and as being part of the executive leadership team, one of the privileges and honors is we are sort of trying to slightly create our culture going forward that has not lost from the past. So we're bringing those very passionate, born in the cloud mindsets of real core product development, the visionary tech folks, along with the traditional Sitecore folks, and we're going on a journey. So very much customer first with our partners, and I think hopefully we'll be able to leverage all of the rich heritage of the past and take that forward.
That's brilliant, Nick. And I think a lot of people would find that very reassuring, especially many, we've got customers here today and have been watching us, I'm sure, that have been working with the product for a long time. So to know that many of the attributes and characteristics that made them select Sitecore in the first place are going to be protected and evolved, which is a great thing. And it sounds to me very much a values-based approach, which is very exciting. Maybe a point of to be a bit specific on some of the points regarding that integration. As a partner, I remember Style Labs when it was acquired, and now a very successful Content Hub. I know there was a very successful period of enablement that was pushed out through the partner network to make sure that clients could take advantage of, as it was then, Style Hubs quickly. That's led to specializations within the ecosystem for partners. I know many clients watching will want to know, how do I make sure that my implementation is going to be a good one? Do you see that happening more with more specializations to make sure that if it's headless or whether it's content or CDP or search, is that how Sitecore is going to help clients differentiate and make sure that they're picking the right partners?
Yeah, great question, and this is one that's really close to my heart from an operations perspective. One of the key things that we have to accept is, our core business is innovation. Our partners are the ones that deliver on the promise. I was looking at your mission statement at the beginning. I can't remember it verbatim, but the gist of it had, it's about people with power and skill to deliver experiences. Yeah. Well, ours is about, enabling consumers to become fans of the brand due to the digital experience that they've enjoyed. Now, of course, the technology is the enabler there, but it's the combination of technology with partners that deliver on that promise. And the technology alone, I always say, it's not software, it's dreamware. So you need to have the hand in hand. So one of the main responsibilities for myself as COO of Sitecore is the partner organization. And to that extent, we've just recently actually substantially bolstered our enablement practice. We asked Mark Johnson, who was the founder of 451, to, in addition to his role leading our vision with regards to commerce, we've asked him to take on enablement as a function. So we've actually brought that enablement from where it was, which was within my remit, and taken that right up to the board level to say, this is an area that we're going to invest in at scale. And that means not only internally, because of course we have Charlie and his team, we're constantly bringing out new technology. We need to ensure that the team are up to date on the latest and greatest. Our sales organization needs to be abreast of what the value propositions are. And of course our partner organizations need to be trained, certified, and then to a certain extent supported out in the field. So we're making an enormous shift and focus to expand on what we've always done pretty well, but to do it even more, because as I really like that slide you were presenting, the one that Dave did on the symposium. What we had 6 months ago and what we had today, it's a step change. And that's why internally within Sitecore we've had to make a step change to ensure that we equip our partners and ourselves, of course, with all of the skills, the certifications, the knowledge and learning that's required to have successful projects and therefore have strong brand representation. And that knowledge and learning for customers as well, it's available through our knowledge and learning organisation. So it's a focus area, and it's hopefully an area that you guys will be able to benefit from as well as our customers.
Sure, absolutely. And just to maybe ask you to carry on a little bit on that, that theme of unlocking value for clients. We've talked about partners being a key part of that enablement and unlocking value. Do you have any other advice to clients in how to best get the value out of Sitecore? Other touch points within the environment, within the ecosystem? I mean, you've mentioned about learning and development. That sounds like an area that's just about to receive a lot of investment.
Yep. Yeah, and also it was mentioned during, again, Dave's keynote at the symposium, developer.sitecore.com. That community of developers is absolutely critical to fueling interest, passion, talent, and ultimately success in the market for us and for our customers and our partners. So these are areas that have been accelerated and doubled down with in terms of our investment. The other point to note is our customer success organisation is now nearly 400-ish people strong. So that's almost 1 in 5. It's more than 1 in 5 people within Sitecore is in the customer success organisation. So that in itself is a testament to how seriously we take not just the adoption, the initiation of a relationship, but to ensure that the value of the technology with our partners actually makes it in line with the business plan at the beginning. So we will continue to invest in that customer success organisation, and their mission is to ensure that customers get the full value from the solutions that they've purchased, right? And it's an ongoing thing, because one of the benefits of that composable DXP, I reference it as a real differentiating strength for Sitecore, is speed and choice. Well, speed and choice is still there should we drop the ball. I say we as in the collective we. If we get it wrong, if we don't live up to the expectation of the client, if something goes wrong, they can quickly make the choice to rip us out and put something else in. So you will continue to see us invest a lot of effort in ensuring that customer success remains at the epicenter of everything we do, and by extension, that our partners are equipped to ensure that they can also deliver on the promise.
Sure.
Yeah.
I totally echo and agree with you what you're saying about the customer success side of things. I know the voice of the customer, Vocalis, I think that program is a very good one, and one that we advocate strongly for clients directly wanting to get support from Sitecore. So lots of good stuff there. I guess, not trying to put you in a tough spot here, but obviously a year of acquisition, a year of expansion and product evolution as it's been going along. I guess I'm not asking you to spill the beans on the next acquisition just quite yet, but is it fair to think that Sitecore is going to carry on in this kind of direction, adding more choice, more increments, or is it a case of just wait and see and work out where we are and consolidate and work on all the things that you talked about there earlier with enablement and things like that?
Well, I think you were asking me about culture earlier, and I was referencing back to our innovation as a root of our culture, and that will continue. And it's a fast-moving market, as some of the folks talked about earlier. So I suspect that a fine eye on potential acquisitions to continue to complement what we have would probably not be far off the mark in thinking about that. I can definitely tell you that as Steve referenced, we managed to secure 1.2 billion to fuel our growth strategy. There are still some of those pennies in the pot. We still have a very proactive corporate development team who are very active in keeping an eye on what's going on in the market. Of course, we're very much in line with the strategy of the team. So where do we think we need complementary stuff? But then we've also got our day-to-day running the business, which is, okay, what are we going to do to grow and expand irrespective of future M&A? And so, as we look at Europe, for example, we've opened in Spain, we've opened in Italy, we've expanded in France, we're very aggressively expanding into the Middle East. Japan is a good focal point. We launched the Japanese website not that long ago. And of course, we will continue to invest in sort of the traditional core markets, whether it be the UK, Northern Europe, or into the US, which of course is a massive market for us. So not giving away too much, but I think all options are there, and I think it's one to watch.
Yes, absolutely. And I think if I may finish off with maybe one more slightly cheeky question, perhaps, or push you on the spot. I think one of the things that we've always enjoyed at Symposium has been a venue sometimes. We've had Vegas, we've had Orlando, we've had New Orleans, we've had Barcelona. Jeremy probably remembers many of them with me. No, maybe not. Notwithstanding the fact that virtual events are obviously here to stay, but I guess no announcement this year. Is that really just directly as a result of the pandemic, wait and see if that's something that we can maybe look at in the future? Or is virtual here to stay? Or is it just too early to say at this moment in time?
I think, you look at where we are today. I travelled an hour and a half in, and then it'll be an hour and a half back. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here because I've missed this kind of stuff. And I'm sure that many people in the room have done the same. And I think that the energy, the pizzazz, the excitement of actually being able to get people together in a room or in a conference facility, is a great human way of educating each other, sharing experience, and charting the future. That said, of course, we've also learned an enormous about the benefits of the digital reality. As I said, we've been able to make Symposium this year available to many, many more people than we ever would have in the past. The vast majority, in fact, all of that content is available on demand. So I hope that you guys, I hope our customers will be able to consume that for some weeks and months to go. For those that weren't able to dial in during the live performances. So I think next year you'll see a bit of both. I think you'll see a live event, regulations permitting, assuming that there's no major resurgence. But definitely we've learned an awful lot positively from the digital side. So I think hybrid's the way forward.
I think that's maybe a nice way to finish before handing over back to Miranda and possible questions. In the sense, choice. We've been talking about choice, and I think the types of events where people can pick and mix is a nice way to perhaps look at doing these learning events in the future. Nick, thank you ever so much. I know it's been an extremely, extremely busy week for everybody in Sitecore for joining us and talking about some of the opportunities and challenges that come from rapid expansion. I think as a committed partner, UNRVL's very excited about what's happening, and I hope that we will be doing more of these events in the future. Very exciting. So thanks again for joining us, and Charlie today as well, as we bring the day to a conclusion.
No, thanks very much for your partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much, and I can only agree that the sense of being together in a physical space today has just been so fantastic, and the conversations that take place when you're actually in a physical arena are, I don't know, just physically, viscerally, really valuable. But also for us, it's a really exciting opportunity to start streaming our activities and knowing that there's a massive appetite now in the marketplace for people who are at their desks, who can actually just switch on, listen in and learn and take that forwards. So I think the balance for us has changed, and I think it's a really positive thing. So absolutely, despite all the miseries of the last couple of years, I think we're all now looking to the future with a really positive voice and change of circumstance. So thank you both very much for that. We are getting to the end of our afternoon, and I wonder if anybody does have a question that they'd like to conclude with. You see, people get tired, it's Friday. I have one question, and more an observation than a question, that I'd like to sort of share with you both, which is about the topic of loyalty, because that's something that hasn't really been discussed today, and I think it's an important one at the moment. When we talk about decentralization, whether that's a country, political system, or indeed a platform, what does that mean for the future of your relationships, and how can we support that in the most productive way together?
Gosh, it's a broad question.
That's a Friday afternoon question, Miranda.
I have been listening.
Well, I can maybe
I'll step away and let you guys take that one forward. Thank you.
I mean, if I pick up on the question of loyalty to start with, you know, you're absolutely right. Decentralization, whatever you take that to mean, whether it be physically located or in the relationships or the talent, etc., it's been a real challenge and opportunity. You know, for us, it's been able, as UNRVL, we've been able to attract more talent and more opportunity to show innovation than we ever have done over the last couple of years, and that, for me, is a very exciting thing. So I would say you characterised it really well earlier, Miranda. You know, it has been the horrors of the last couple of years, absolutely, but there have been some silver linings, some opportunity, and for me, the decentralisation has certainly, alongside the rest of the world, allowed us to move forward at pace, with agility. We've talked about it many times before, you know, the new normal, pivoting to that, and I think very much that the company, UNRVL, and our partner, you know, our vendor partner of choice, Sitecore, we've been able to step up to that challenge, and long may it continue. And events like this, and you know, when I say this, symposium, and where the product is going, is just adding to the choice that we have and the ability for us to innovate with our clients, with our partners and vendors. So yeah, it's been tough, but it's been a challenge, and it's one that I think we've stepped up to, and hopefully we've gained loyalty, and we are absolutely moving the business in the right direction together.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about our own vision as Sitecore, you know, that to turn consumers into fans of the brand, and a fan is someone that you either, you know, if you live up to their expectations, there's this loyalty that's built between brand and consumer, but it can be lost pretty quickly. So it has to be that when you say what you're going to do, you then deliver against that. So our responsibility is to ensure that our customers can do that to their consumers and make fans and retain them as brands. There's also a responsibility on us to maintain the loyalty of our partners and, of course, our extended customers, our mutual customers. And that comes in the form of, you know, saying what we're going to do and then actually being able to turn back at a period of time later and say, we did what you said we'd do. So I think, you know, for me this year, the symposium was reflecting on the statements, the big, bold statements we made last year. We'll do more innovation, we'll be more customer-centric, we'll respect our ecosystem. And I think we innovated organically and through acquisition. We've definitely expanded our footprint and our focus towards customer centricity. And we've stuck to our commitments, and we've said it over and over again. We will not compete with our partners. Our partners will deliver on the promise, hand in hand with the technology. So I think that there's a nice symbiotic relationship as it relates to the loyalty.
Just to pick back up on that point, Nick, I absolutely think Sitecore should be given credit for that. I've mentioned my time working with Sitecore, and then maybe I think unfairly there's always been a perennial challenge or concern that Sitecore might compete with partners, but like you say, for many years now, it's been about enablement, it's been about partnership and working forward. So yeah, I think that's been a really good message that has been seen in practice and action. As a partner, I can only speak for ourselves, obviously, but you know, it's good to know that, you know, the innovation from a product point of view is coming from Sitecore, and we're there to innovate it and deliver it in terms of customer experiences for our clients. And I think that's a really happy relationship, and one I hope long may it continue.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end on a happy relationship, don't you?
Well, you started talking about a wedding this afternoon.
Exactly, so long may it last. Thank you all so much for attending this afternoon. Obviously, we've been live streaming, but we'll also be available for review on YouTube. So please do search out the unrivaled.com YouTube channel, and you'll be able to replay the replay. So thank you all very much, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.